Hello, friends! Welcome to Get Your Play Online's live arts and crafts. I'm Lindy, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make these awesome avocado poppets. So poppets have been super popular the last year. You might have played with them before. So these are so much fun to push back and forth, and they are great not just for fun, but for helping us stay concentrated. And also, sometimes when we have feelings of nervousness inside of our body, kind of like anxiety, those kind of feelings, when we use our fingers and play with something like a fidget toy, like a poppet, it helps us not feel some of those feelings of nervousness in our body quite so much. So these are so much fun, and they can be used for a lot of other things. I thought they were super great to make since so many people might be going back to school soon, and fidget toys can be great to help us concentrate, or if we're feeling a little bit nervous about going back to school. And they're just so cute and a lot of fun. So I can't wait to make these with you today, and I'm going to show you all the things that you need to make these with me. And the really cool thing is, once you know how to make these, then you can make any other type of poppet that you want with our poppet middle. So we're making the avocado today, but once you know how to make the poppet part, then maybe you want to make a cat, and you could make these be the nose, the poppet, or the ears. So that's really cool too, that you'll sort of know how to make these poppets, and then you can get super creative and make all sorts of kinds to have a friend with your avocado. So the first thing that we're going to need is, the poppet is actually made out of tape. So we're going to need a tape that is thicker than regular tape. So this right here is packing tape, and you can see that it's a lot wider than regular tape. So that is what our actual poppet, the part that we're going to be pushing back and forth, is made of. And then we're also going to need a regular tape. So that's going to make the poppet. And you can see, since avocados usually have that core, that pit in the middle that's darker, and it's not green, it's like a brown color. So I have put glitter inside mine. So if you have like a gold or a brown glitter, you could use that. But if not, then you could always use paper. So it could be brown paper or white paper that you color with crayons or markers to make it brown. And then I can show you how to rip these up into teeny tiny little confetti pieces, and we could put that inside to make it brown. So we're going to use either our glitter or paper that's brown, or one that you colored on. Then to make the outside of our avocado, I have used these foam pieces. I got this at the dollar store. So I love the feeling of this being soft next to the poppet feelings. They're so different. This one's kind of plasticky and kind of harder, and this one's nice and soft. So that's why I got this type, but you could also use regular paper. It could be green paper or white paper that you color green, or thinner cardboard like the back of a cereal box, and you could color that green with a marker. So there's a couple choices. Whatever you have around your house is going to work great. Then we are also going to need, if you notice, I've got a face on my Mr. Avocado, so we're going to use a black marker. And then also we're going to need some scissors to cut out our avocado. I like to use a pencil to draw my shapes first. That way I know that they're right, and I always have my eraser if I make a mistake. So I think that's a great thing to grab if you've got it. And then we are going to be gluing our pieces of avocado together. So you can either use regular old school glue, Elmer's, or you could use a glue gun. But I want to remind everyone that glue guns are super hot, and they can really hurt you if you touch the hot part. So if you want to use the glue gun, we want to make sure that we get permission from an adult first to make sure that we're allowed to use it. And then maybe they might want to help us a little bit just to make sure that we're super safe when we use it. So we can use either one of those. This one takes a little bit longer to dry, so you might not be able to play with your poppet as fast. So that's why this might be an option, but especially if you're using paper or something thinner, this one will work perfectly well. So we've got those two options, And I like to have some plain old paper to cover my workspace since we are using glue, just in case we get any glue on our table. That way we don't have to worry about cleaning it up. All we have to do is take the paper and toss it in the trash can. So I've got a few of these pieces that I'm just gonna go ahead and lay out. I'll push you down so you can see. I'm just gonna lay these out on my workspace. And that way, super easy cleanup if anything gets spilled. So the first thing that we're going to be doing when making our cute little avocado poppets is that we are going to make the actual poppet piece. So if you remember, I mentioned that we were going to use our tape when we make this. So you're going to go ahead and grab your packing tape, that thicker tape. It's usually clear, or it might be a light brown color, which could be great since our middle of our avocado is supposed to be a brownish color anyways. And what we're going to do is we are going to tear off a piece that is about as long as, let's say, your forearm. So we're going to tear off a piece that's about that long. So we're going to pull that tape until it's about the length of my forearm. And then you can either use scissors to cut this, or if yours has one of these metal things, you could use that to help rip out the tape off, but this can be a little bit sharp, so be super careful with that part. So I'm going to go ahead and just use my scissors to be safe, and I'm going to cut my tape. I'm so curious if you have played with poppets before and what your favorite type of poppet was. Was it one of those that is a square with a bunch of circles in it that you get to pop, or did you get like one that was a cool shape, or maybe even a keychain? I've seen some keychain ones that are awesome. So we're going to take this piece of clear tape and we are going to set it down on our table, or like I've got that paper that I mentioned that I put down just to make really easy cleanup. And we're going to make sure we have the sticky side facing up. So the part that's not sticky is going to touch alongside the table. So I'm going to push the computer down so you can see. And I'm just laying, so this part is not sticky. This part is sticky side up, just laying it down on my paper. And I am going to use my marker or my pencil just to show you where that is, because I know this clear tape is tough to see on the camera. So hopefully you can see the kind of outline to know where it is a little bit better there. Now we are going to add a second piece of tape on top of that. But first we want to add our color. So we want to trap that brown color for the middle of our avocado's core, that center that's brown when you cut open an avocado. We're going to trap that in between our two pieces of tape. So we're going to either take our glitter, or we're going to take our brown paper. And I will show you how to do both. So first I'm going to do this brown paper and just tear it into teeny tiny little pieces. So like I'm making confetti. I'm just tearing off these teeny tiny, I probably want them to be like the size of a Tic Tac would probably be a good size. So we're just gonna tear off those pieces, and we are going to be making 2 tape circles. So if you're using the brown paper, then you're going to want to tear off about 20 pieces of the brown. Now let's get some music going while we're making our avocados, because I know we're working hard. There we go. Okay. I love doing this with paper because it's almost like making your very own confetti. Nothing is more fun than on a birthday. I love to put confetti into cards so that when people open it up, then they get a fun surprise. That's always fun to do with a bunch of different color paper. right, so I've got my pieces of confetti. You can see it right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle about half this amount onto my circle, or onto my tape. And I'm going to try to make it in just one area. So we're actually going to be putting another piece of tape on top of this in a minute. And then we're going to be cutting out 2 different circles from this area. So what I'm going to be doing is just putting about half this amount onto one part of the tape. So I don't want to cover the whole part because our circle is only going to be about that big. So decide where you want one of your circles to be and go ahead and put some of that brown onto your tape. Just push it in there. And if you have the glitter, I'm going to do that next. So what you're going to be doing is taking your glitter, undoing the cap, and just sprinkling on a little spot on your tape about that wide. So it's almost about a little smaller than a golf ball. It's about the size that you're going to be putting on that glitter. So I'll go ahead and do, in case you're on that step with the glitter, I'm going to do that in another spot on my tape. And this is one reason that I love to have this paper under here, because some of that glitter might get on the table and it's hard to clean up, but it's super easy just to pick up the paper later and toss it. So I'm going to be just sprinkling that glitter. So if you've got the glitter, this is what you might be doing. Sprinkling it into one spot. And then I'm going to keep going with my brown paper in case that's what you're using. I think it's great to be able to use different materials depending on what you've got around. That way we don't have to go out and buy anything. It's always fun to think, be really creative and try to come up with solutions to find things that might work instead of something that we don't have. All right, so we've got, and I'm just going to take my tape and just tap it to get rid of any extra glitter. Okay, so we've got 2 sections covered with brown. So now we're ready to put another piece of tape over the first piece that we did. So we're going to do the exact same thing we did the first time and tear off a piece of our tape that's about the length of our forearm. It's about the same size as the one that we just did. It doesn't have to be exactly the same length, just about the same size. I'm going to go ahead and pull. Remember, be super careful if yours has one of these sharp edges. We don't want anybody getting cut on their fingers. Pull, pull, pull. And then I like to kind of put it above my other piece and see, is that about the same size? Mine's a little smaller, so I'm going to pull it just a touch more. All right. And then I'm going to cut it off using my scissors. And then what we're going to be doing, I'm going to push it down again so you can see. This time, so remember last time when we put our tape, we put the sticky side up and the not sticky side down. This time we're going to do the opposite. So feel with your fingers and decide which side is nice and sticky. That's the side that we're going to be pushing right on top of our first piece of tape. So I know this is a little bit tough to see since the tape is clear, but hopefully since we have all these nice colors in there, it will be a touch easier for you to see. So we're going to take it and put it right over top, pretty close, but not touching it, and see with your eyes, does it look like it's lining up pretty well? And if it is, then we're ready to push it on. If not, try to line it up just a little bit closer. And then we're going to push it down right on top of that first piece. And then with our fingers, just smooth it out. Nice. Very good. All right, so if we look at our avocado, I made this one earlier so that you can see, and it was so much fun to play with and make. If you can see, these are a circle shape. So what we are going to need to do is turn our tape into a circle. So I'm going to be using my black marker to make that circle shape before I cut. And sometimes I have trouble making super nice circles. So what I sometimes like to do is see if I can find something that's circle shaped and use it to trace the circle. So I have found this little tiny candle, and I like to use the bottom of this to trace the circle. The thing that is important is if you're looking for something to trace a circle too, it needs to be smaller than the tape is wide. So you can see that this can fit inside the tape. If it was too big, then I wouldn't be able to make my circle. And if you can't find anything that's small enough, then you know what? Our circles don't have to be perfect. So we can just make the best circle that we know how, and that will be totally fine. But I'll be showing you how to draw that traced circle line, just in case you're able to find something like this small candle, or you might be able to find a bottle top that works well. Maybe like the top of a ketchup bottle or something might work. So you can try to find something like that and help to trace your circle, or you can just freehand a circle. You might be a lot better at drawing circles than I am. So I'm gonna push you down so you can see a little bit better. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put it right over top of that space where I did my brown paper or my gold or brown glitter. And I'm gonna take my pen and untop it. Any color marker really would do. I'm just using black since we'll be using black a little bit later to make our fun face. And what I'm going to do is just trace around the outside. So you can see I made a circle. Can you see? Hard for me to tell when it's down like that. See that black line? So I made a circle. So if you don't have something like that, you can just draw. I'll try it right here. You can draw a circle, and you want it to be just a little bit smaller than our tape is wide. So if I were just drawing it, this one's not showing up super well. So I would just draw that circle. Hopefully you can see that a little bit. All right, now I'm going to go to my second circle over top of my glitter. So I'm going to take the circle shape that I'm tracing, and I'm going to put it right over where that glitter is, and I'm going to draw. My marker's a little bit getting dry. Might be time to get a new one. Just tracing it right around the outside of this small circle-shaped candle. There we go. Let me see if I have another marker that might show up a touch better here, so that you might see it better. Let's see. All my supplies, but I'm not sure if I have another black marker. Unfortunately not, so I'll just show you really close up and hopefully you can see that. So I've got a circle. My circles. Now I'm ready to take my scissors and cut along the line that I made for my circle. I'm cutting in until I meet the line of my circle, and then cut right around it. I love cutting circles. It's one of my favorite shapes to cut. There, I've got my first one. You can see all the fun sparkles inside of it. Now I'm ready to cut my second one. So I'm curious, once you've made your avocado pop it, are you going to give it a name? I think that would be fun to name it. be really curious what you would name your avocado pop. What do you think mine's name should be? It's like a pretty happy little avocado. So maybe a cheery name. Perfect. All right, so I can put this rest of this tape aside because I have my 2 pieces of my circle tape. So normally, since I showed you 2 different ways to do it with the glitter and with the brown paper, I've got circles that look a little bit different. Normally you would, since you're just using one of those, yours are both gonna look the same. Now, what we're going to be doing is turning these circles into dome shapes. So a dome shape is a circle, but it kind of has a little bit of a point at the top. And how we're going to be doing that is by cutting into our circle shape and finding about the middle of our circle and making sure that we stop in the middle. That is the most important part. If we cut all the way through our circle, we're gonna have 2 separate halves of a circle. And we wanna make sure it stays as one circle, but just with a little bit of a cut in it. So find where you think about the middle of the circle is. I think mine's about right there. So I'm gonna use my scissors to cut right to the middle. So cut. And then when I get to the middle, stop. So you can see now, I've got this little, it almost looks like Pac-Man. Pop, pop, I can eat something. All right, so let's do that to our second circle, and then I'll show you how to make the really cool dome shape. I'm gonna take my circle and find about the middle again. So there's about there's the middle. And we're gonna cut into it, and when we hit the middle, make sure we stop, right? So we don't go all the way through it. There you can see, got my little cut mark into both of my circles. And now what we're going to be doing is I want you to go ahead and grab your regular old tape and have that next to you nice and handy, because we are going to be, once we find the perfect dome shape, we're going to be using a piece of our clear tape to put it right into place. So I want you to do is hold it in your fingers on, so here's my cut right there. And I want you to hold it between your thumb and your pointer finger, right next to where you cut on both sides. And then we're gonna take one side, kind of open it a little bit, and take one side, and you're gonna pull it towards the other side. So I'm gonna take this side, and I'm gonna pull it this way. So I'm gonna take it, pull it behind, and I'm gonna keep pulling until I can make a dome shape. So see how now it's almost like a teeny little triangle, but it's still circular. So once I found that, I'm going to take my piece of tape and I'm going to place it right on that part where they're separate and they're cut so that I can keep it in place. I'm going to put a second piece a little bit on the front just to make sure, since I plan to be doing a lot of popping with mine, pushing them back and forth, I want to make sure it stays in the right spot. So now there's the cut right there on the front, and I'm just putting my piece of tape over top and folding it on the back side. Perfect. Now let's do the same thing with our second circle. So pointer and thumb, put them on each, there's my cut, put them on each side of the cut, pull either side, I'll pull this side that direction. So pull it back towards me and then pull it towards my other hand until you've made your dome shape. Very cool. All right, now I've got it just the right dome shape that I want, so I'm ready to pull my piece of clear regular tape and tape it onto that. Right now I'm holding that spot on my hand so that my dome shape doesn't fall back to a regular circle with just the cut. Now I'm going to put that tape right on the cut piece to hold it in place. And I can wrap it, if my piece of tape is too long, I can always wrap it around to the front. Mine is a little bit too big, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it a touch. And then I'm going to do one more on this front piece of my circle. See, it's kind of sticking up right there. I'm going to do one more piece to make sure it stays nice and in place when we're doing all of our fun popping it. So, clear tape over top of that part that's kind of sticking up. And wrap it around the back. Perfect. All right. We are officially done making the parts that are going to be the pop it piece, the part that pops. So we are ready to move on and make our avocado piece so that we can eventually put them together and have an official avocado pop it. So if you look at my avocado, you can see that it has the shape of an avocado, and then later we're going to draw a circle in the middle. And the shape almost looks, if you know how to draw the letter 8, it almost looks like the letter 8. So it looks like a smaller circle and then a bigger, or like a snowman with only 2 pieces, only the head and a body, but not a third snow piece. Let's get some music on while we do this. So I'm going to show you the shape on paper just to make sure that we've got it down before we move on to making it onto our either our foam piece like I've got, or if you're going to use regular paper, or you could also, remember I let you know that you could use cardboard too. So that thin cardboard like on the back of a cereal box. So what we're going to be doing is drawing a avocado shape. So it's like we're drawing the letter 8. I'm going to start at the bottom and make a circle. And then I'm almost like I'm drawing the 8, but instead of going in and crossing, I'm just going to make that second circle, but smaller than the first. Almost like the shape of a peanut. And I wanted to show you this one before I did it on the part that I was going to do, because it's really important that our avocado shape be bigger than our circle. So I can hold my circle up to my avocado shape and see. So I'm going to put it right in the middle of the bottom part of the avocado. And you can see that it fits. If you drew your avocado shape too small, then we wouldn't be able to fit our pop it in the middle. So we want to make sure that our avocado is bigger on the bottom than our circle shape. So let's go ahead and make that same shape that I just showed you how to do in the material that you're going to make your avocado from. I like to do this in pencil just in case it's got that eraser, in case we need to erase. So I'm going to push you down so you can see a little bit better. And we are going to be doing 2 bodies. So I want to make sure if you have a piece of foam piece like I do, or if you are doing it on a piece of cardboard, make sure that you're saving space for a second avocado body. And you can even take your little circle and kind of put it down and kind of judge how big you want the body compared to that circle. So I'm going to put it right kind of close to the bottom so that I can find exactly how big I want it. So I'm starting out with my smaller circle, my bigger circle for the bottom. And go ahead and draw that circle. And when I come close to the top, I'm not going to pull my lines together. They're coming in together, but then they don't touch because they go back out to make another circle, except it's a smaller circle than the bottom this time. So let's see if you can see that. it is. Perfect. So let's go ahead and cut that out because we're going to be using our first one to trace to make sure it's just the same. Our second one is identical, just the same size as our first one. So we're going to go ahead and use our scissors. And if you like your shape, that's perfect. If you didn't like your shape, remember we hopefully did it in pencil, so you can always erase and try again. And this can be the back side, so if you have to do a couple different drawings, don't worry about there being lines there, because this could be the back side of the avocado, or the side that will glue together so you won't even see it. So I'm going to take my scissors and cut right along the line that I drew. Now I'm going on to that smaller circle. So you can see that. There we go. Got the avocado body. Kind of looks like a green blob, huh? So now we're going to take this one and we are going to put it on top of your foam piece or your paper or cardboard. We're going to find another spot with enough space and put it on top. And then we're going to trace that piece, and that way it will be just the exact same size and shape as the first one. And we don't have to worry about drawing it freehand again and trying to get it just right. So let me push you down to find a free spot and use that pencil to trace around the first avocado body that you made and cut out. Perfect. So I've got mine drawn right there. So let's go ahead and cut out our second avocado body. Just cutting right along those lines that pencil lines on your material. I love the way that this foam piece feels, so squishy. I think I'm going to have to use this stuff in a lot more crafts. It's so much fun to work with. Can you think of anything fun to make with these foam pieces if I have left over? I wonder what else could I make with it? It's always so fun being creative. All right, now I've got two bodies, and eventually we are going to put them together to make one avocado pop it. So looking at the one that's already done, what is one of the next steps that you think we might be able to be needing to do to make it into a puppet? What do you notice that's different? You might notice that this one's got a face that we'll be adding later, but also there is a circle shape hole that we need to create so that we can put our poppets in. So that's going to be the next thing that we do. We are going to take our circles that we made before, and we are going to be tracing them in pencil on our avocado bodies. So let's go ahead and grab a pencil, and we are going to put these circles we're going to find right about where we think the middle of our avocado body is, on the bottom bigger circle. As soon as you think you've found right about where the middle is, we are going to be using our pencil to trace around this circle. And this doesn't have to be super perfect, but we just want to get right about the general size. So I'm using my pencil and I'm just going right around where that circle is. You know what, I'm going to do this in my marker in hopes that you can see it a little bit better. Okay, and then, so I've got a circle shape. Now, I'm ready to do my second one. So I want to make sure that my circle is in about the same spot that it was on this one. So I think I found the middle. And it's important that you don't flatten your circle out too much. You want to keep it in that dome shape because we want to make sure that we don't make too big of a hole for our Pop It to fit. So go ahead and trace that second circle. Okay, so now I've got two circle shapes on my avocado, but we are actually going to draw another circle shape inside this circle shape, and the reason is that we want to make sure that our circles aren't too big for our avocados. So you can see on this one where I glued and taped it down, it kind of, the edges kind of go over the green a little bit. So we want to make sure that the part that we're cutting a hole into our avocado body is actually a little bit smaller of a hole than what our circle shape is. So what we're going to do is take the shape that we just drew, and we're going to use that as sort of an outline, but make a smaller circle inside. So we want the circle to be about the size of the nub of a pencil, smaller. So if I lined up my pencil nub inside my circle, right where the pencil nub ends, that is about the distance between the two circles that I'm looking for. So let's go ahead and draw that second circle. So we're using this outline, but we're making it about this much smaller of a circle. So I'm going to try it in pencil first, and then I'll outline it for you in my marker. And these don't have to be exactly perfect. So I think you can see that pretty good. I just drew a second circle inside my first circle that is about a pencil nub, that much distance between the first circle and the second circle. So let's do the same thing for our second avocado body. So if I were to put my pencil in, the nub, right where that stops, that is going to be where I start my second circle inside the smaller circle, just a little bit smaller. That way I make sure my hole is not too big. There we go. Now we're ready to cut a hole into our avocado body. So how do we do that without making a hole, a cutting mark out here? That's kind of tough to do. So what we're actually going to do is fold our avocado in the middle on the bottom circle so that the fold is right in the middle of our circle. And then we're going to make a cut mark inside that circle. So when I open it up, now there's a cut right there, and it's the perfect spot for me to get my scissors in so that I can cut out my circle. So remember, we're going to be cutting along the smaller circle line that we made, not the bigger one. So the second circle that you drew, that's the line that we're going to cut with our scissors. So we're going to put our scissors inside of that cut mark we made and go ahead and cut out that circle. There we go. I've got a hole for my Pop It to fit on my avocado body. So let's do the same thing to our second avocado body. So fold that second circle in half with your fingers. holding it in place and using your scissors. So we've got that crease right in the middle of our circle. We're going to use our scissors to make a cut right there. Just make sure your cut doesn't go bigger than your circle. So open it back up, and then we've got our little hole. Perfect for our scissors to go in again. And one more time, I want to remind you, we're going to cut along that second smaller circle that we made, not the first one that's bigger. So get those scissors right in that hole and cut right until the first circle line that you made. I'm sorry, the second circle line, smaller one that we made. And we are going to cut along that line. Just follow that circle shape. Very nice. Now we've got 2 avocados that are ready for a Pop It. And if we put them together and glue it, then we've got one awesome avocado body. So before we add the awesome Pop It part, my favorite part that we get to push back and forth for all the fun, we are going to be drawing. I want you to pick one of these guys that you want to be the face of your avocado. And you want to make sure that it's not a side that you can see those drawing lines. We want to flip them over and make sure they're the nice and clean sides, and pick one that you want to make your face, the one that's kind of going to be the front. I think I'm going to do this one. And you can see on this one, I've outlined in a thin black marker. That's part, you don't have to do that piece. I thought it made it look a little bit nice, but you definitely don't have to do that if you don't want. And then I did 2 tiny little circle eyes, and I did a tiny little mouth in the middle, right below my eyes. It's almost like a really flat U. So it's almost like a straight line that curves up at the very ends. Almost like a U, but kind of flat. So we are going to be making a face. So you can make your face look just like mine, or you could get creative and make your avocado face look totally different. Maybe you want your avocado to be sad or mad or super surprised. You can make your avocado face be however you want. So be super creative with this. Let's go ahead and draw. So remember, we want to make sure it's the side that's nice and clean and not the one where you can see any markings. So I'm going to take my pen, and I'm going to go ahead and do the face first and the outline second. So I'm going to find where I want my face to be. So I want it to be on that second circle, the top one that's smaller. And I'm going to do my eyes first. So I'm going to I think I want my eyes to go right about there. And I'm going to draw 2 tiny little circles, but you can make your eyes bigger if you want. I've got one, hoping you can see that. And then I'm ready to draw my second one. I'm going to draw it a little further out, right along the same line. And then I'm going to color in most of it and just leave a little bit of green showing. Color the middle in. And then I'm ready for my happy face. And remember, you can make your face totally different. You can make it a sad face, an angry face, a surprise face, sticky outy face. Maybe you want sunglasses on your avocado. I'm going to go right in the middle of my eyes, right below, and make a smiley face that's kind of a really flat U shape. There we go. Now we're just going to outline the body. So right along the outline, I'm just making a line that follows the line of the avocado's body. And this step is definitely optional. I just think it adds a little something extra to my avocado that I like. Maybe you want to do something crazy on your avocado, like give it pants or a hat. That could be cool. I've never seen an avocado in a hat. Okay, let's check it out. There we go. Now we're ready for the last step, which is to put our Pop It pieces in the middle so that we have the center of the avocado, that core pit piece that is our Pop It part. So we are going to take one of our circles, and I want you to put the pointy part, so I want the face to be facing your face. So this part is empty. And then I want the circle, that dome shape that we made, we're going to make the pointy part face you as well. So the pointy part is facing me, and I'm going to push it into my circle. So you can see it's kind of sitting on the outside of my avocado body. And on the inside, from the front, you can see the pointy piece sticking out. Now let's go ahead and tape that into place. So we're going to take our clear tape, rip off a piece, and we're going to tape it in to place. So I just put a piece right so that the sticky side is touching both the body and the Pop It piece. We're going to put a piece on all four sides just to make sure that it sticks really good. Now you could put glue on this part, but sometimes I find that the glue kind of comes through the front. But that is definitely something that you could try if you wanted. I'm going to be just doing tape on this part. Do one more piece of glue. So now my first circle is held into place. And you can see the Pop It piece sticking out, so the pointy part is sticking out to the front. Now my second piece, what we're going to be doing is taking your second one, and we want the pointy part to face the same direction. So it's basically going to sit right next to the first one, so we get extra good pop. You can really feel the pop go back and forth instead of just having that one piece of tape pop it that wouldn't give us quite as much fun pushing back and forth. So to do that, to make them sit together, what we're going to do is take our avocado, and we want either, since this is going to be the back, either side can, the kind of one with the drawing or not, either side can be facing you. But we want to stick that piece through so that the pointy side is facing out. And this one you could do this way or this way. So it could be sticking facing out, or the pointy sticking facing you, because we can put it down however we like onto the body, since this part's the back, so we don't have to make it look super fancy. And then we're going to tape it into place just like we did with our first one. So there it is, and I'm just taping. So sticky part goes on to the Pop It and onto the avocado body, and those four pieces to help it stay into place. Okay, now before we put it together with glue, let's make sure that we've got the right sides. So remember I said we want to have the pointing part of the Pop It go the same direction as our face part. So this is my avocado with the face, and this is the back piece. I want that back piece's Pop It with the dome that's the pointy shape to go the same direction. So you can see that my face's Pop It, the pointy part is facing this direction. So I want this one, the back piece, to also, the pointy part, to be facing the same way. So line them up and see if you can make, can you see both of my pointy parts are facing the same way. So if I put them together, line them up, and they both go the same way so that when I push them forward, they'll both go the same way, and backwards, they'll both go the same way. So you can make sure you can line them up, kind of make the bodies line up the best you can and the circles the best you can. And once you've got that just right, we are ready to glue. Now, if you've got, if you're using paper for your avocado body, you might even be able to use regular old tape for this. Otherwise, I would suggest to use the Elmer's glue. This is a little bit thicker than maybe your paper or your thin cardboard might be. So you could have the option of using a hot glue gun for it to help it stick a little bit better. Ask for permission from an adult and they need to oversee why you do it, or maybe even give you a little bit of help. I'm going to be using my regular old Elmer's glue. So I'm going to put that, so I've got it lined up, all ready to go, and I'm going to put the face facing face down on my workspace. And then I'm going to open my glue, and I'm just going to go ahead and add, so I'm going to take out the bottom piece and lay it the same way. So it's laying just like it would on this piece, but just next to it. And I'm going to add my glue around the outside of my avocado body. And then I'm going to take the second piece, making sure that because my face is facing down, so the pointy side is facing down, make sure that your second piece, the pointy side, is also facing down. And then line it up as best you can, circles and body, and push it in. And then make sure with your fingers that you're pushing it into place. And there we have our Avocado Pop It. These are so great. Now, if you've got your Elmer's glue that you used, you're going to need to let it sit for about 20 minutes to make sure that it's super dry and super in place before that you get to play with it and pop it. I know that's so hard to wait because that's the best part. Since I've already got this one made right here, I'll show you how you can play with it a little bit so you can push the pointy part backwards and forwards, and it gives a little bit, it's kind of, oh, it feels so good to push it in and out. It's kind of crackly and it makes a little bit of a fun noise while it does it. And it's just, I think it's so relaxing. And if I have a lot of work to do, like maybe homework, sometimes if I do this, it helps me concentrate. So I think these are so great to do for back to school and a sensory fidget toy before you bring it out in school. And I love these so much. I would be really interested to see what other kind of poppets you would want to make. So now that we know how to make them, what other shapes do you think we could make? I mentioned before, maybe a cat. This circle could be the nose, or you could do 2 circles and have that be the eyes. I would love to hear all your unique and creative ideas of what you can make with it. Maybe you could make it into a keychain. Something that I was thinking is that we could turn these into little presents, back to school presents for our friends. So we could take our marker and on the back we could write to our friends, so T-O, and then we could write, so I'm going to make this one for my friend Ellie. And then you could write a fun message to them, like, I hope you have a great first day of the new school year, or something like that. Or you could give these for birthday presents, and you could write a fun message on the back too. So those are some of the things that I thought that you could do with these. And I just had so much fun making these with you today. And I hope you had a blast making avocado poppets. And I hope that it's something that you really use and have so much fun playing with. So until next time, I hope you'll keep joining us on Arts and Crafts at 1 o'clock every Sunday with Get Your Play Online. Thanks for having so much fun with me, friends. I'll see you next time. Bye. Get a few more poppets in. See you next time.